Come to steal my views again, huh? Big news, she's about to get a little brother. Man, I'm super stoked to show you guys this recipe. As like a young cook, this was one of the recipes I've mastered because it's fried chicken. Who doesn't love fried chicken? And it is literally a Michelin star like created dish. It comes from this legendary chef named Thomas Keller. In America, he's like the fucking godfather. He was the first chef to own 2 3-Michelin star restaurants simultaneously. You might be familiar with the French Laundry in Napa Valley. He also had another restaurant in New York called Per Se. So this dude is like a big deal. And if you're not familiar with like the whole culinary world and all these restaurants and chefs and stuff, you've probably seen the movie Ratatouille. He's the chef that they consulted to make like the actual ratatouille in the end. Typically it's a super shitty looking dish. It just looks like a hash of random vegetables. Let me find it for you. So typically that's what it looks like, but they consulted him and then they transformed it into this beautiful guy. Look at that. Isn't that much more appealing? I figured I'd show you that because like most people have seen Ratatouille before. It's such an amazing movie. But yeah, anyways, let's get to it, man. I'm so stoked. So here are the list of ingredients that we're working with. If you've made fried chicken before, this is very, very similar to like the way you've made it before. Just like a couple changes in the ingredients. So we got a whole head of garlic. We got a couple of bay leaves. We got 2 lemons here. This is like one of the 2 most important ingredients because it has like the acid that's gonna help tenderize the chicken. So if you're used to using like buttermilk or pickle juice, this is like the next level of that, and the rind and the juice have so much flavor inside of them. We got black peppercorn. Salt, this is the magic of the brine. And then here, I love both of these ingredients so much. This is gonna give so much flavor to the fried chicken. So we got fresh thyme right here. And then we also have fresh rosemary. This is gonna give it like that next level flavor. If you don't like rosemary or thyme, you can just totally leave it out of the recipe. And the last ingredient is honey. If you don't have this, you're just looking for like some sort of sweetener, so you can totally use white sugar as well. But if you got honey, use it. For the garlic, you're just gonna cut your bulb in half. And then for the lemons, you're just gonna cut them in half. And we'll give them a nice squeeze before they go into the brine. What I love about this recipe is you literally just throw everything in here, bring it to a boil, and that's it, man. Let it chill out and let the herbs steep and such. We got 8 cups of water going in here. And I just use the biggest pot I can, just so it's not like up to the brim and I'm worried about like chicken juice just going everywhere. Black pepper, the garlic and the bay leaves, that sweet salt, your thyme and your rosemary. And then for the lemon, just give it like a nice squeeze. That way when it's coming to a boil, it can seep into like all those nooks and crannies. I actually don't have enough honey for this recipe, so I'm just gonna go in with that sweet maple syrup. And that's what it looks like, simple enough, right? Give it a little mixing maybe. Then we're just gonna bring it over on the stove. Just gonna bring this, let it heat up, baby. So it's a common technique to use half the water to like brine your stuff, like dissolve the salt and the sugar, and then the other half, they'll use it in ice cubes so they can cool it down a lot. The reason we're not gonna do that is because we have a bunch of herbs like the lemon and the thyme and the rosemary, black peppercorns, basically everything that's in there, we want it to like steep with flavor. So we just brought everything up at once and then we're just gonna let it chill and the flavors will get to hang out with each other, you know? As far as chicken goes, just use what you like. I prefer dark meat with the skin on. So I'm always gonna go for chicken thigh or chicken leg. That's typically bone-in because it's hard to find boneless chicken that still has the skin on. I choose dark meat because it's just always way more moist. And you want the skin on because this is where so much of the flavor and texture comes from. But if you're more a fan of chicken breast, go ahead and use chicken breast. Just realize that you don't have to cook it to as high of a temperature as you do with dark meat. Nothing worse than a dry chicken breast. Now this is probably gonna be the most familiar part of this recipe for you. It's literally just all-purpose flour and a bunch of spices mixed together. The thing that might change is just the amount of seasoning we're gonna put in here. We're gonna load it on because it's like so much flour and fried chicken, so we just wanna make sure it tastes pretty bomb. All-purpose flour, you don't gotta get fancy, you don't need any cornmeal, which I typically use, you don't need potato starch, cornstarch, none of that. We got garlic powder, onion powder, this is paprika and cayenne, and then we have some salt and pepper. You always want to make sure you're adding salt to it. So if you don't have salt in it, you're not going to be able to taste the other spices as much. And you just give it a nice mix, man. And I probably should have done this in the bowl, so if you're watching this and you're like, oh, this dude's an idiot, you're right. Do as I say, not as I do, right? And that's it for now. We're just waiting for that brine to cool down and then we'll put our chicken in it. Man, this is gonna be so bomb. I can't wait for you guys to try this. Oh, this smells so good, dude. It's like herbaceous lemonade. So we're just gonna plop in the chickens one by one. Good night, my little chickies. I would say at the bare minimum, you want to brine it for at least 4 hours. Ideally, you would do it overnight, so it's definitely one of those things that you want to plan ahead. The flavor of the rosemary and the lemon, you really want it to like absorb into the chicken itself. You know, you took the time to make it, so you just want to give it like a little bit more time, and it's an active time too. You're just letting it sit there and hang out. So while that chicken's brining, we can go ahead and thank today's sponsor, Magic Spoon. These days, people know me as an absolute specimen, but once upon a time, I used to be a little chunky chef boy with pretty bad metabolism. But after giving up black truffles and the finest caviar, that all changed. So if you want to be absolutely yoked like me, you want a chiseled 6-pack like this, you gotta start watching things in your diet. One of the first things I had to get rid of was like sugary cereals. So that's why it's dope that there's an option like Magic Spoon now. Magic Spoon's got 0 grams of sugar, 14 grams of protein, only has 4 net grams of carbs in each serving, and it's only 140 calories. You can try Magic Spoon's best-selling flavor in its variety pack. You got fruity, cocoa, peanut butter, and frosted. They also have 4 new flavors like maple waffle, cookies and cream, blueberry, and cinnamon. I was trying to decide my favorite, whether it's the fruity or the peanut butter one. It's like your childhood cereal, but it's actually nutritious. I honestly don't know how they make it taste so good, but pack all that protein in there. It's also keto friendly, gluten free, grain free, soy free, and low carb as well. Click the link below and you can get a variety pack and just use the code SENPAI and you'll get $5 off anything you order. This includes Canada and Great Britain. You can also go to magicspoon.com/senpai. And Magic Spoon's so confident they have a 100% money back guarantee. So for any reason you don't like the cereal, they'll give you your money back. Thank you so much again to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this video. Now let's check in on our chickens. So after you're done brining your chicken, you just want to make sure it doesn't have any like black pepper or anything on there. Just like set it on a wire rack to let it air dry a little bit. We got our flour mixture and we got our buttermilk right here. One of the biggest tips I have for frying chicken is to actually take a good amount of your buttermilk and pour it into the flour, and it'll start making these little clusters and they get really crispy. It's gonna look like that Popeye's chicken. You're just mixing it in, and then if it gets stuck to your fingers, you just rub it off, and that's it. If you don't like Popeyes, man, I can't save you. So after you got your little clusters, we're just gonna go from flour to buttermilk and then to the flour again. That's gonna ensure you have like a really nice crust on the chicken. That's what it's all about, man. The best part is the outside, you know? So when you're doing this, you're just lightly pressing down on the chicken into the buttermilk. Just let most of it drip off. You don't need to get everything because whatever's excess, it'll help create a little bit more clusters in there. This is really famous Michelin star restaurant in Chicago that was known for their fried chicken, and one of the secrets I was told was in their batter they put potato like flakes in it. And I was like, huh, that's actually really smart because it's not really gonna have any like pronounced flavor or anything. So it's just gonna seem like a bunch of little flakies on there. There we go, dude. That's what we're looking for. While I was breading the chicken, I had the oil heating up to around 325. Without an industrial sized beast, it's hard to maintain temperature, so I always overshoot it a little bit. Knowing it'll spike down as soon as I put the chicken in, I start at 325 so the chicken can coast at around 300. If you cook it at 350 like you do most things, you'll get some pollo with a little bit too much color. Nothing worse than a burnt chicken that's still raw inside. I'm aiming for 160, which can take up to 10 minutes. Since each piece is a different size, I'm obsessively temping them. You do not have to be as maniacal as I am. Oh yeah, buddy. That's my baby. Look at the crispies on that, dude. Now this chicken's already bomb, dude. Michelin star quality, you know? So like, just eating it by itself is gonna be pretty awesome already. That has so much flavor. It's so good, man. Now feel free to top it with whatever you want. My personal favorites would be like some sort of honey or maple syrup, and any sort of like hot sauce that's on the vinegary side. Let me take one more bite of this before I start doctoring it up. Oh yeah. Maybe just like a quick squirt of, you know what, I changed my mind on the hot sauce. I think that's pretty fire already. I love fried chicken. Oh, you smell the fried chicken, don't you? I see you, I see you. Yes, yes, I love you, I love you, I love you. It's not too different from every other person's fried chicken recipe. You know, there's no exotic ingredients or anything. Just about paying attention to like the little details, like brining your chicken, making sure that you're coating it right. You're cooking it to the right temperature. That's a big one. It's really just all about technique, and it makes a pretty fucking great fried chicken. This recipe is so dank. I've shamelessly put it on menus before. You literally can't beat Thomas Keller, man. He was in Ratatouille. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, man. Try out this fried chicken recipe.